Welcome in, everybody. 130 years. And all he can do is roll his eyes. $65 years for Libby, 65 years for Abby. What's up, H. Nixon? The presser is going to be in about 15 minutes. I have the Facebook link queued up, and I have WTHR's live stream queued up as well. What's up, She Warrior? Susan, good morning. Truffles coming in hot. All right, let's take a look at this news. This is out of Indianapolis, WFYI. Richard Allen sentenced to 130 years in Delphi, killings of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. Richard Allen was sentenced Friday to the maximum punishment of 130 years in prison for his conviction in the 2017 killings of Abigail and Libby German. An Indiana man convicted in the 2017 killings of two teenage girls who vanished during a winter hike will face up to 130 years in prison. When he sentenced Friday in the case that long cast a shadow over the teen's small hometown of Delphi. Here, let me go to a different article that I pulled for you guys earlier. They actually quoted something from today's hearing. All right, here it is. Here's a quote. "You sit here and you roll your eyes at me as you've rolled your eyes at me the entire trial," Gold told Allen. "These families will deal with your carnage for generations." Damn. Good morning, Shane, Jerry, Lisa, Grunge Truck. Yes, he's going to try. And all of these new filings from his defense team right now, they're just posturing. They're trying to create this illusion of confidence. What's up, right? 130 years, 65 for each victim. Abby, 65 years for Abby, 65 for Libby. I think he may have gotten time served as well. No remorse. So right now we're just waiting on a press conference. Should be starting here in about the next 10 minutes. Yep. You can close the book on that one. I don't even think this will go through the appeal. Susan, I was hoping it would be live. About so happy the girls and family finally have some kind of justice. Yeah, the press conference should be live. Starts here in about 15 minutes. 10 minutes. Lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. Yep, he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Hey, GP. Yeah, it's a good question. So Richard Allen sentenced to 130 years in prison. That's the maximum punishment under the law. See if we can get a good look at him. I read on Twitter today he didn't look very good. Welcome in, none of your business. Ooh. Well, hang in there. Hold it down. It should be. Sensei's asking, has the gag order been lifted now? Should be as of tomorrow. What's up, sweets? Officially, today's the day. 130 years. 65 years for Abby, 65 for Libby. I'm assuming he's getting time served. Not like it matters. Apparently, the family told him that they wish that he lives his life in fear because that's what happened to the girls. They died in fear, so they want him to die in fear. You can never get him on camera. He's got his glasses. CJK says, yes, it's been lifted. Welcome in, CJK. Phil Bond. Shane. So, yep, tells me everything. I mean, the guy can't even explain what he did that day. We're just not going to talk about that in the trial. I'm innocent, I promise. Okay, what were you doing? We can't talk about that. It's confidential. Well, sir, your freedom depends on it. No, we can't talk about that. Yeah, I don't know what they need to do in order to prevent that. Oh, most definitely grunge truck. He's definitely will be in PC. There's no way they'll have him in any kind of general population or anywhere where general population has access to him. He'll have a big target on his head. He's like a walking trophy for them. So if you're just joining us right now, we are waiting for a press conference. It looks like it's going to be held in the church, the same location they held the 2019 New Direction presser, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from where Richard Allen was living in Delphi at the time of the murders. Remember, Doug said, and the killer may be in this room. Pretty accurate considering the killer lived less than a mile away when he made the comment. What's going on, Truffles? Apparently, one of Alan's biggest fans is there today to support him. Hey, do you, you know? It's a free country. All right, so it looks like the jury found him guilty of 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of murder while committing or attempting to commit kidnapping. Yeah, Grunge. I've seen videos of people being attacked in the courtroom. Like, I was watching a video where they read off his charges. It said, I can't remember what the charges were exactly, but it was sexual assault against a minor. And the guy who was handcuffed sitting next to him stood up and just started headbutting him. I was like, damn. So it's on site. I don't know, TJ. We're about to find out. It should be starting here in the next like 5 minutes. Indiana State Police say they're broadcasting it live on Facebook, but it looks like WTHR has it primed as well. And looks like they're getting ready to go live. So those are the two sources that I have right now. All right, let's take a look at some of these documents. So he's going to attempt to appeal this, or his attorneys are just making it, they're trying to appear confident that they're already creating the narrative that they were railroaded, that the judge was biased in favor of the prosecution, and that they're confident in the next go around that they'll get the not guilty. You see here, motions filed, defendant motion to preserve evidence, right? Don't fuck up the evidence, because when we come back, we're coming back harder than ever, right? We're ready to go. Motion to refer to state public defender for appointment. of appellate counsel. So that's already been done. Thank you, Alex. That's the decorum. Defendant's motion to preserve the evidence. Order the state, including any law enforcement agency holding evidence in the above caption cause, to preserve all evidence for possible future testing, inspection, or admission at a hearing. So they're basically saying, don't go nowhere. So we'll see. I don't even know if they'll take on the appeal, honestly. Motion to refer to state public defender for appointment of appellate counsel. Definitely posturing. It's their way of telling everybody, or giving the appearance like, hey, we're ready to go. We'll see you at the appeal. We'll see. Should be V. I haven't seen anything official about the gag order, but I'm assuming it should be lifted. Good to see you, V. What's up, Cheeks? TJ, better preserve that evidence. Richard Allen might remember his alibi in a few years. Yeah. Hopefully, during the appeal, he can figure out what the hell he was doing that day. I mean, imagine going through a murder trial and not telling the jury what you did. Well, Richard Allen, what'd you do that day? I can't talk about it. It's top secret. I think the biggest part of the case against Richard Allen was his lack of any information. That's what made him look the most like a killer. Well, happy birthday, Cheeks. Let's hit you with
Happy birthday! Woo!
Woo! Yeah, me too, Grunge. Me too. What's up, Jerry? So if you guys are just joining us right now, Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years. 2 counts for murder. 2 counts for murder while attempting to kidnap. Judge Gall made a comment to Richard Allen here. Let me see if I have that quote here. She said, "You sit here and roll your eyes at me as you've rolled your eyes at me the entire trial." Gall said, "These families will deal with your carnage for generations." So she must have said, "Hey, you're sentenced to 130 years, you piece of shit." And he rolled his eyes. So if you guys are just joining the live stream, we're waiting for the press conference. So ISP is holding a press conference. It looks like at the same location that they had the 2019 New Direction presser, which should be at the church right across from the street from where Richard Allen lives. They had it scheduled for 4 minutes ago, so should be up any minute now. If you're looking for the stream, it should be on Indiana State Police, their Facebook page. WTHR has it up and looks like they're going to be live streaming it as well. Yeah, that would have been good, Cheeks, hearing that. Gold taking the gloves off. Like, you can roll your eyes at me all you want, Richard Allen. You're going to die in prison. And without an alibi, you're not going to get an appeal, buddy. Because if you had an alibi, you would have gotten a not guilty. I mean, he didn't even try. What's up, Nick Johns? Where was Rick that day? Where is his phone? Why didn't his mother testify he was with her and what time he left? No one defending Rick wants to answer those simple questions. Exactly. Because if Rick was like, hey, I was with these people and that people, they would have to call him up on the stand and say, hey, were you with him? They'll have to say, no, he was acting really weird that day. We tried to go to lunch and he bailed on us. Come to find out, he went and got drunk. So anybody defending Richard Allen simply asked this question: why did he not explain what he was doing that day? There's a reason for that. And it is a very simple question, Nick. And I bring it up every time we go live on Delphi. Nothing makes him look more guilty than the fact that he hasn't explained what he did that day. Pretty simple. Because then you have to have witnesses verify the information you're providing. And the information that you're providing, when those witnesses begin to verify it and put it all together, it's going to paint the picture of a guilty man. I mean, think about it. You went through an entire murder trial and you didn't talk about what you did that day. You didn't give one explanation about your whereabouts. Miss Thang, what's up? So if you just joined the stream, and I see a lot of people just jumped in, Richard Allen has been sentenced to 130 years, 65 for Abby, 65 years for Libby. We're waiting. Looks like they're getting ready to go live on a press conference being held by the Indiana State Police. Will be held at the same location as the New Direction presser, right across the street from Richard Allen's home. Remember, Micah hit the lights. Nope, we're just waiting for the live stream to show up, for the press conference to go live. Shane, his defense team failed. They're failing him now. Yep, that's basically what he did, Cheeks. He got blasted and killed 2 children. Well, attempted to sexually assault them, and to cover it up, he killed 2 children. What's going on, Stephanie? Phil says 8 minutes. I don't know. It might be on now. I think it's starting. Yeah, it looks like they're live. Let me pull this up.
Going to speak is here. So this is your relax. This is your 5-minute warning. I'll be back up here in 3 more minutes for a 2-minute warning. 5 minutes.
Can you guys hear that?
3 minutes back for 2. All right. Thank you.
Can you guys hear that okay? Could you hear him talking? All right, thank you. Shane, they swore he left the trails at 1:30. They didn't even talk about that. I don't think they even brought that up during the trial. How do you go through a murder trial where people are accusing you and you can't talk about what you did the day before and the day of? It's crazy. There's no way you can expect to get off a murder charge if you can't tell the jury what you were doing that day. I mean, it's pretty simple. And why can't you tell the jury what you were doing that day? Because if you do, then it's going to prove that you're the killer. That's the only reason that you wouldn't do that. CJK says his own mom didn't take the stand to say what he did that day and what he said that day and why he left her home that day. Exactly. These are the things that the jury had right in front of their, these are the things that they were thinking about. You know, they're not some weird conspiracy theorist. They're asking, well, if you weren't killing these girls, what were you doing? Oh, we're not going to talk about that. You're not going to talk about that? Okay, good luck. If you were with your mom, okay, well, now we need to talk to your mom. Mom takes the stand. Okay, what were you guys doing that day? Well, we were having dinner. We had breakfast. We talked. Was there anything off about Richard Allen? Yeah, he seemed really upset about something. As a matter of fact, I thought he may have already been drinking. You know, they're going to say things like that. The jury's going to be like, oh, shit. You know, we're starting to see this picture. You guys are painting a picture of the killer right in front of us. That's the only reason that they didn't go to that trial.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes. We'll start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Mic check. Everybody good? Everybody good on sound? Okay. Thank you.
Mic check 1, 2.
Okay. Yep. Should we grab it after you guys go? Okay. Sounds good.
Nope, Kathy didn't take the stand at all. She was at work, I think, at the time of the crime. Thanks, Cheeks. Hey, Molly. Oh, I watched Into the Fire. Oh, here comes Mike. Mike Patty, Doug Carter, Nick, Tony Leggett, Jerry Holman. I don't know who that woman is. Dang, they got a whole crew.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Piers with Indiana State Police. I'd like to thank you all for being here today and for your continued cooperation throughout the course of this trial. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the Canal Center for allowing us to use their facility today. As we move forward, we remain committed to keeping Abigail Williams and Liberty German at the center of our focus. Their memory has guided us every step of the investigation, and the photo displayed behind us serves as a powerful reminder of why we're here and what this case has always been about. Due to the gag order, it has been some time since we have spoke publicly about this case. Now that the order has been lifted, we're grateful to be here today and speak to all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce to you the speakers: Mike Patty from the families, Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, and Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland. At the conclusion of their remarks, Prosecutor McClelland will take a limited number of questions, and he has requested that all questions be directed to him. On behalf of those standing behind me here today and all those who have dedicated countless hours into this investigation, we thank you all for your continued support. I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, Mike Patty.
Thank you, Jeremy. I don't have a nice speech all prepared. It was kind of a last minute thing here, but I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see this, that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded and objective and was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict. For that, I will always be grateful. The community. This community has embraced our families from day one and continues to lift us up and support us. And again, for that, I'll always be grateful. I want to thank them. To the investigative team and the prosecution, thank you for staying steadfast and continuing to work towards this. It's been almost 8 years coming. If I live to make it 80, it'll almost be 10% of my life. It's been spent working on this. And to the judge, I want to thank her as well for her steadfast, staying on course, staying on track, and helping us get through this. Thank you very much. Tony.
Good morning. The end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017 completely changed the fabric of
Scared the
Carroll County.
cameraman.
We lost 6 beautiful young girls, and all of that happened within a 6-month time span. My office is not a part of the investigation into the Flora fires that's being headed up by the state police. We would do anything that they would ask for us to do, and I know they're working extremely hard on that case as well. Carroll County is a tight-knit community, about 20,000 people. It used to be a place where people didn't lock their doors. I believe that the verdict and the sentencing will help ease some of that sense of security for the people of Carroll County. The people who live here are very resilient. I think you can see that just in the families, the Germans, the Patties, the Williams. Carroll County is an amazing place to live, to work, to raise your family. I want to thank all of the people of Carroll County and the families for their patience during this investigation. I keep hearing the word closure. People are coming up to me saying, I bet that you're glad that there's finally closure. There will never be any closure in this case. The Germans and the Williams family lost their daughters, their granddaughters, their siblings. Justice, a form of justice was served, but it does not bring Abby or Libby back. These families will live every day without two of the most important people in their lives. They're missing milestones because of a low-life coward decided to take their innocent lives. They did not deserve this. Today is not closure. It is just turning the page and starting a new chapter. My heart is and always has been broken for these families. I want them to know that we stand with them, and I want to apologize to them that it took 8 years for us to get to this point. This case was quite the undertaking for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office with bringing it to a conclusion. You see a lot of them right here, and there are many that aren't standing up here. There are so many agencies to thank for standing by our side. Just to give you an idea of the support that we had just for the trial, we had 36 outside agencies help us for just the security during the trial. On the afternoon of February 14th, at least that many came to help us investigate this case. Everyone from detectives down to dispatchers to help investigate or just answer phones. I remember a conversation after we found the girls with Jerry Holman about whether or not we were going to take the case or Indiana State Police were going to take the case. Well, it was not my decision. But I knew we didn't have the resources needed to do this on our own. Holman made a commitment that if we took the case, ISP wouldn't leave us and they would stand by our side and provide any of those resources that we needed. And they did just that. Tobe Lesenby was the sheriff at the time, and he asked ISP to stand with us. I want to thank Doug Carter and the rest of the Indiana State Police for being with us during this time. The reason justice was served today was due to one person, a person that only knows how to give. She has given herself literally for free to this investigation in different ways since about March of 2017. Kathy Shank, while filing, scanning, organizing, found a tip that led us to be here today.
What's up, Anthony?
Throughout this investigation, especially when things happened during the month, things that happened during the month of 2017, that was a time when
Damn,
Kathy was
cameraman,
not helping us. When she would come across something that she didn't know, she would always bring that to an investigator. And every time that she brought us something and said, "Did you know this?" We knew it, except for the tip that she brought us that got us here today. To borrow a term I believe was started by Becky Patty, a saying that meant enough to me that I had it on a sticker on my computer, in my car, and on my refrigerator at home. The goal was actually to be able to say the words, and they ring true. There is zero doubt that justice has been served, and today is the day. Thank you.
I had prepared remarks today, but I decided walking in here that I wasn't going to read them. John Perrine reminded me that 2,866 days ago, this
Proceeds to
entire thing
read.
began. I didn't know what I would think, and I didn't realize today we were going to be walking into the same room where many of you were, I believe in, again, from memory, April of 2019 or that time frame. And over the course of these last many years now, several of us, me included, have been mocked and ostracized for our emotion, for our inability to answer questions that you might ask, and the thought that we're something other than human beings. I'm not going to apologize for that.
What's up, TJ?
I often say I wish people could see what goes on.
That's what
behind
I
the
was thinking.
scenes.
Well, give her the
Not
reward
just
money.
people
She's
dressed
working
like
for free,
me,
and she found the tip.
but citizens of this county and of this city. It's amazing.
Thanks, Tamby.
Amazing acts of
Likewise.
unbelievable courage and self-service and self-sacrifice. I wish you all could have been in the courtroom today and heard the victim impact statements. I'll always remember them. And hope
I don't
you read
know,
the
Boston.
transcripts
Why
and,
do any of these
and read
predators
what was said
do
and
what
try
they
to
do?
understand the context of those words, even though you weren't in the courtroom. Over the course of these last many years, there have been many investigative strategies. Any notion of a cover-up, any notion of us deciding the outcome of this, any notion of any connection to anything else is not correct. It's not correct. I've never been a detective in my entire lifetime, but I get to represent some of the best on the planet Earth.
What's going on, Don?
I listened to them intently. And when they made strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job was to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them. The gag order. We lived by that. We lived by that gag order. The defense did not. And it cost a human life. Anybody that shares those photographs
The Carter's
of
coming
those
in
two
hot.
little girls should be held accountable, whether they're in the public sphere, whether they're emailed to you, whether you found them in a place you didn't want them to see. I hope that if you ever see them, you'll picture your own children as Abby and Libby. I'll never forgive that. I will never, ever forgive that.
Thanks, Tattoo.
We lived by the gag order. Documents were released from the defense that drove a public narrative that many of you talked about. And
Oh my
damn it, I
God,
wish I
this
could have
cameraman.
responded,
Damn it, Tobe.
but I was not going to violate what Judge Gall said. So they were able to get these documents out there and create a public narrative that you and many others, many of you, and many others believed around the globe.
There you go, Don.
Baldwin and Rosier are responsible for that,
Oh, he's talking shit.
not this team. The family effects, I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives and how they've been forever changed, how they'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis by the name of Guy Relford. And I heard Guy on the radio after the verdict when a lot of hate mail came, death threats came. And I heard Guy Relford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he
Shame.
said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense.
As cameraman's
They could see the
fired.
state. They could see the witnesses, feel the emotion, and they could see Richard Allen. I've never thought about that perspective because we have a singular view most times. You, me, it's human nature. Judge Gall was the keeper of the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors. And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of a human being. That's what our founders had established.
Me too, Stephanie.
And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you can ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do and what we shouldn't, and understand that their words have consequences to other human beings. I appreciated Guy's perspective, and it changed my view of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew.
Don.
We live in a country where people can hate. People can say things about other people. And that's okay. Hate me. It's okay. It's one of the only countries in the world where you can. So hate me if you want to. The investigative collaboration is something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we could ever do that. We are human beings, and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong when we did it. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman.
Hot glass,
Jerry
damn.
Holman is not a liar. Jerry Holman gave the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We fussed with each other throughout the course of this.
Me too, Miss Thang.
We argued with each other. I remember Tobe and I had an argument right here in this other room in April of 19, as you should expect us to. There was no groupthink. We debated each other, as you should expect us to. But then the defense spins that into incompetence. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous nonsense for Baldwin and Razi to have done that. And finally, most importantly, to the Delphi community and to the family of Abby and Libby. Words cannot possibly explain what we all feel. But what Nick McClellan did and the rest of the team that was associated with this, every single time it was about something other than themselves. It was about this community and that family. We owe them a debt of gratitude that can never possibly be repaid. How about we start to heal now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served. If you don't like justice in this country, go to another one. Let's heal. Tone down the rhetoric. Stop all the politics and all the nonsense and all the conspiracy theories and understand that we all tried the best we could. That should be the message to us and to our kids and to this most amazing place we call the United States of America. Well done. Thank you all.
Good morning. Can we all just have a little bit of a sigh of relief that this thing is over finally? The convictions come in. We've got the verdict. We got the sentence, 130 years in the Department of Corrections.
The max.
And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me to say that this part of the trial is over, that we got the conviction, that we got the sentence that brings justice for Abby and Libby. A few of the things I am going to say are going to echo what Sheriff Liggett said, what Superintendent Carter said and what Mike Patty said, but I'd be remiss if I didn't
Yeah,
thank some
Doug Carter.
along the way. Law enforcement, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Indiana State Police, Department of Natural Resources, all the agencies that assisted in this investigation and the prosecution of the defendant, I want to thank. They were attacked by members on the internet for their integrity. They were called corrupt. They were called evil. And they were called liars. And they weathered that storm with professionalism and did what they could to be a shield for the families. Spent countless hours chasing down leaks of crime scene photos, countless hours attempting to scrub the internet of those crime scene photos, and countless hours trying to protect the family as best as they could. And so to them, ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, DNR, the other agencies that assisted,
Defense team should have had a press
we
conference.
would not be here today if it were not for your efforts and your countless hours that you sacrificed away from your family and your friends to give us the evidence that we needed to get the conviction. I want to thank my team, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell.
Thanks, GP.
There is no way I could have tried this case without them. We spent countless hours working on this case, away from our families, away from our friends, and no one will understand the heart and the effort that they poured into this. So thank you. I want to thank Kathy Shank. She kept us well fed. She was the grandmother of our office, if you will. She made sure that whatever we needed, she took care of, and she never complained. And without her, we would not be here. Without her countless hours of going over filings, of scanning in documents, of looking at reports, and having the wherewithal to bring this to the attention of Sheriff Liggett, to say, hey, I haven't seen this before. Has anybody followed up with this person? Without her, we would not be here. Without her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence. She was the key part to this investigation, the needle in the haystack, if you will, that brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest.
What's up, Lorraine?
Kathy Shank, I thank you.
What's up, kid?
And finally, the family. The Williams, the Germans, the Patties. Thank all you guys. The support you gave me throughout this. Those times when I said you had to abide by the gag order, that you wanted to respond to the things that were being put out there, the allegations against you, against your family members, that you respected me to the point where you were willing to agree to abide by that gag order for the betterment of the case. The fact that you supported me throughout it, and I know there may be times you doubted, but you endured. And without your help, we wouldn't have got the conviction. And without your victim impact statements and the graceful words that you gave to the court about how this has influenced your lives, we wouldn't have got the sentence that we got. 130 years, maximum sentence on each count. And so I thank you. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Abby and Libby themselves. Libby for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone and record that individual, having the wherewithal to know that something wasn't right. Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killer. And then to Abby.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, Anthony. I'm
Hiding
sure.
the phone from the killer so that he couldn't take it with him. Hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected. Without the efforts from those two little girls, we wouldn't be here today. So Abby and Libby, thank you. I want to say we're very happy with the jury's verdict. We're elated with the judge's ruling, or not the judge's ruling, the judge's sentence. The sentence is appropriate. As Judge Gall stated in court, the aggravators outweighed the mitigators. and the heinous nature of this crime deserve a fully executed sentence. I'll end with this. I want to thank the media for keeping this case in the forefront, for keeping the tips coming in for us to investigate. But I will leave you this word of caution. Please, as Superintendent Carter said, the crime scene photos are still out there, and more may be out there in the future. Please, if you receive those, delete those. Don't forward those on. Don't re-victimize the family and the other family members. You can write whatever story you want and report however you want. You do not need those crime scene photos to do so. All it does is re-victimize the families and hurt the reputation of Abby.
No, those crime scene photos, they're coming.
So please, if you get those, do not forward those on.
They'll be out there by
If
tomorrow.
you get any other crime scene photos,
Unfortunately.
or autopsy photos or anything, don't forward those on. As Superintendent Carter said, imagine if they were your kids, your grandkids. You can write a story without having those pieces as part of the narrative. So please do not forward those on. I want to thank the community finally. Everybody in the community locally has supported my office, supported law enforcement. The show of support from them has been just unforgettable. I appreciate everything everyone's done. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate the handshakes, the support, everything that everybody's done throughout this course of the 8-year investigation. When this investigation started, I was actually a defense attorney. I ran for the prosecutor's office in January 1st of 2018. And I knew coming into that office that this case was one that I would have to investigate. And I made it one of my goals, not only to investigate it, but to get an arrest, have the trial, and get a conviction. And all the support I had throughout that time, I appreciate it. And so, as Trooper Pierce said, I'm going to answer a few questions. The gag order is lifted. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody up here individually afterwards if they want to talk to you. But I will take a few questions here and now.
Boston, I think just people realizing that the gag order has been lifted, they're going to start
It's not
posting
easy.
it. Plus, the case
It's
is over.
hard to put yourself in their shoes because I've never had a child die. And so it's very difficult. It took a lot of phone calls, text messages, meetings. A lot of it was, hey, try not to read that stuff that you see on the internet, which is easier said than done. But a lot of it was just moral support and leaning on each other to say, we can't violate the gag order. Let's keep our eye on the ball. We need to get the trial and we want to try to get the conviction, and then we can talk. And so it was just a lot of words of encouragement between each other, moral support, text message, phone calls, those kind of things. Go ahead. It wasn't a fight. She was just commenting about some things that were said at sentencing, and I'm just going to keep those things to myself. Well, I don't know if she got up in my face. I'll just keep those things to myself. She was just commenting on things that were said at the sentencing. Yes, ma'am. Well, it's not up to the defense. It's up to the defendant. I'm not going to repeat his name. He's the defendant at this point. And so he has 30 days to file notice with the court that he wants to appeal. If he doesn't file that notice, then there is no appeal. And so once he files that notice, we'll deal with it accordingly. We'll work with the Attorney General's office to represent the state, and we'll give them whatever support that they need in order to draft a response to that appeal.
But I guess given all the questions and you all have brought it up here and how frustrating it was, your confidence in the security of this verdict and then this maximum sentence?
I feel confident in the verdict and the sentence. But again, I'm not on the Court of Appeals, so they'll have to make that decision if it comes to them. So, Ms. Well, at this point, we don't believe any other actors are involved. We don't have any evidence to support that. If evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate that. We're not going to say, hey, no, we got the conviction. We're not listening to what you have to say. But at this point, we have no other evidence showing that any other actors were involved. If Richard Allen himself, the defendant, wants to come forward and give us more information, we'll gladly accept that. The amended charges were we added the 2 counts of intentional murder. I did that because I thought it was appropriate at the time. Yep. Hold on just a minute. Do you have a question?
Yeah, can you tell us, or if you ask you to speak on behalf of other people, how it makes you feel with the guilty verdict and the sentence? Obviously, it's the outcome you guys wanted, but how does it make the entire team feel to get to where we are today?
I think I hate to speak for everybody, but I think I hate to be cliche and use the word justice, but justice, vindication, to show that the people standing behind me weren't liars, weren't corrupt. You know, those hate mails and hate messages continue to come in from some podcasters, some YouTubers. But I think just justification that, okay, we conducted a clean investigation. We presented the evidence as best as we could. And the jury were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty. Yes.
Does this now mean that all the other men are cleared? Can you use that word?
Who is all the other men?
The other men that were looked at during the course of the investigation that you always said you couldn't say that they're cleared. Can you now say they're cleared?
I may not use that word clear, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time. What do you mean looking into the Anthony Shots profile? Well, it didn't fade it out. He was convicted of what, 34, 35 counts? Not that we have any information of that right now.
That was interesting.
Sure. There's no significance in my mind to the timing. Once a person is convicted, they have a right to be sentenced within 30 days. And so I think the timing just was.
Yeah, that was a
get it
great
in before
question.
the holidays, because a lot of people do have time off and those in the courthouses.
He said right
There's
now.
no significance in my mind to the timing, but that it worked in everyone's schedule. I'm not sure I understand your question, but yeah, regardless of the time of the year, I imagine it's hard for the family to not be with the victims any day, whether it's somebody's birthday or somebody's anniversary, the other holidays we have out throughout the year. You know, Christmas is probably especially difficult. Again, I don't expect this verdict or the sentence to bring peace to the Patties, the Germans, or the Williams. I don't know what at this point could ever bring peace to a family member that loses a child or a parent that loses a child. What I hope is what I said. I hope it's a sigh of relief that this portion is over and that the conviction as it is now stands and that he's been sentenced to the maximum possible sentence. I hope that is a sigh of relief for them. And I hope that they now, like Superintendent Carter, can continue to heal and start to put this chapter behind them. That's why the plea to the media, please do not recirculate those pictures, because all that does, as Mr. Erskine said in his victim impact statement, it's like a scab or a wound that scabs over that is constantly ripped open. It's a constant reminder that our loved ones are put in this vulnerable position. My opinion is if the Indiana code allows criminal charges to be pressed for those kind of thing, if something comes in my office, criminal charges will be pursued if the criminal code allows it. Well, he can ask some questions after we're done here. So I'm not going to concede that. No, go ahead. Sure.
Your take from your professional perspective in spite of the cases, I'm sure you've watched it throughout the case. What was your reaction now?
It's hard for me to see him because the way we were seated, especially during the trial, we were kind of all crammed. We call it the well. We're kind of all crammed in there. So it's kind of hard for me to focus on him. And the way I try cases is I'm pretty focused on what I'm doing, and I try not to get sucked into the reactions of other people. I like to watch what the jury's reactions to certain things are. And so a lot of the stuff that she commented on, I didn't see from him. What I did notice from him is what I said in my sentencing recommendation, just the lack of remorse and the lack of regret, the lack of emotion, I guess, when the images of the victims are put up on the screen. You know, as a father, when I see those things, and You've probably seen me up here and other places. I get a little emotional about it, and hard. It's hard not to. And so the lack of those things kind of struck me. I didn't see him roll in the eyes of the judge, of course, but obviously never a good thing to do. So those are my comments on that. Oh.
What's up, Audra?
Sorry. Oh gosh, I don't know what did it for the jury. I think it was a culmination of everything that we had. I think once you start stacking that evidence against him, and as it stacks up, it's hard to say that the defendant isn't bridge guy. And if you can accept that he's bridge guy, you can accept that he's the killer. And that to me is the bottom line. And so I think I would just echo what the superintendent said and what Sheriff Liggett said and some of the things that were said by the victims' families at court. If he truly wants to apologize to the families and admit to what he's done, now's the time to do that. So.
Can you say today that Carroll County is safer than it was 8 years ago?
I believe so.
What steps have been taken to make it safer?
Well, I think it's safer in the sense that people can have that sigh of relief to say, okay, we got the guy, we got the conviction. And so I think in that sense, it's safer. I've always thought I was born and raised here in Carroll County. I left the court. And so this has always been my hometown. It's been my hometown for 3 generations or 4 generations of my family. And so I've always thought it's a safe place. And the things that Sheriff Liggett said, the thing that the victim said in the sentencing, that wasn't fluff, that we didn't lock our doors and that we knew everybody else. Those are true statements. This is a traditional, small, Midwestern town. And so I think it's always been safe. I think there can be that pressure off of people now to say, okay, I feel better. We got the guy, we got the conviction, and we know he's going to be in prison for 130 years. So
I think they're going to shut it down.
Questions today and for the press conference. I would just like to say thank you for all for coming out. As you go about your day, please remember the most important part of this entire thing, and that's the 2 girls that are behind us today. So as you go about your reporting, please do that and have a safe trip home. Thank you.
All right. So now we wait for the appeal process. I thought that was a very interesting question. They asked about the Anthony Shots account. And I think Nick said, well, we don't have anything for you on that right now. What the hell does that mean? You know, it sounded like they were open to hearing any information that might be dealing with the Anthony Shots account. Now that the gag order is lifted, I believe that some jurors will come forward and speak, maybe give interviews, even publicly. Some might want their identity withheld, but I think now that the gag order is lifted, they will come forward and speak. So you can probably expect that probably starting today, maybe even tomorrow, or at least this week, I would say. Maybe even some family members. As far as the photographs, the photos have been out there. Like they're everywhere. They were recently posted on YouTube in a community page. They have been circulating X. So now that the case is closed and the gag order is lifted, I think people are going to start to share those now. So it's not about whether or not they've been out there. It's all about the timing, you know. The case is pretty much closed unless anything changes with the appeal. Good to see you, Jari. Audra? Nope. Alan did not speak at all and maintains his innocence, and he looks forward to his appeal. It's going to be pretty hard with no alibi. What's up, V. Marie? Melissa Wildcard. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Richard Allen was convicted of 130 years. We'll stay on top of this. We'll get together again real soon to have a little discussion about it. 65 years per victim. 65 for Abby, 65 for Libby. I'm assuming he's going to get some time served. Special thanks to Alex and GP for sponsoring today's live stream. And if you guys are part of the replay crew, let me know what you think about today's sentencing. 130 years, the max. So they hit him with the max. Good to see you, Melissa. Jer, good to see you. Delulu. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you saying that. Nope, no family to back him up. The only person that came forward was his sister and his daughter. Thank you, GP. Yeah, you're right, Mustang. Good to see you. All right, guys. Maybe I'll see you a little bit later. Still trying to put together a members live stream. Things just got really busy around here. But I'll keep you guys posted. And if you need to reach me for whatever reason, you have my email, sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Good to see you, Richard. There you have it, guys. Possibly the closing of the case. We'll see what happens with the appeal. We'll stay on top of it. We'll keep digging as far as that very interesting question about the Anthony Schatz account. And if we find anything, we'll keep you up to date. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.